All right, very casual video here today. Essentially, one of my favorite settings for a horror or thriller book is going to be a wedding. This leans more towards thriller than horrors most of the time. So essentially, there's always a lot of family drama going on. It's normally a fast-paced, entertaining ride. When the murder happens, there's so many suspects, and the drama is the appeal. It is just normally over-the-top, ridiculous, and I love that in a book. So recently, I finished You're Invited. And I'm so upset with myself. I love this book so much. I picked it up, I don't know when, but it's been a fair few months ago for the Literally Dead Book Club. During that time, I read like the first half of it in like one sitting, binged it, loved the characters, loved the premise, loved the setting, and then I put it down, got distracted with other things, and never came back to it. I'm very bad for that. Like, I have a shelf of shame here for books I love, was enjoying at least, put them down, and just haven't finished them yet. I gotta get to them. So essentially, the premise of this book is our main character has gone back to her home in Sri Lanka to stop her ex-best friend's wedding. In terms of social class, they're like rich, powerful. There's a lot of social climbing. There's a lot of social politics involved, and the amount of gossip, just people talking and gossiping about each other, and don't you know who my son is or who my family is related to? Don't you know the influence I have? It's a delight. It's all the drama. So her ex-best friend is marrying her ex-boyfriend, and no one, the bride wants to keep that secret because it would cause a scandal for someone to find out that she's marrying her former best friend's, basically sister's ex. And the protagonist has gone there to break up the wedding. We are cutting back and forth between the past event, essentially, and present day where the bride has gone missing, and this private investigator group has come in to interview people, and you get interviews, and then we cut back to kind of what that was talking about as well. So you got a little bit of Big Little Lies kind of vibe, and I can't tell you how delighted I was with this book. The main character is over the top. They are obsessive in many ways. They have very much intrusive thoughts that are normally very violent, and almost like OCD tendencies where it's just like, I'm waiting for a specific time because these numbers are lucky and I need all the luck I can get to here, and very much rituals that she has to do to kind of not function, but she thinks will get her a better outcome. And I love her. She is a delight. And then I can't even tell you, because I was enjoying myself for like the first 2/3-ish, but then the last third of this book happens, and I'm like, yes, go off the hinges. I love a narcissistic character. I love a manipulative kind of character. I loved the ending of this book. It was a lot predictable, quite honestly. I saw the main plot twist coming, and there was only one other twist that I didn't see coming. But the characters, I don't want to know any of these type of people in real life. Keep them far away from me, but to read them in a book was entertaining as hell. Keeping on theme for I don't want to know any of these people in real life, but entertaining as hell. So happy for you. I talked about this book last year. It's one of my all-time favorites. Again, takes place during a wedding, but the only way to interpret this is satire on the wedding industry, on feminism, on politics, and to establish that satire is to push everything over the top to the extreme. Do not take a single word of this book seriously. Go in, expect it to go off the hinges in terms of beliefs, and I got to believe that this is completely satire, every single word of it, because oh my god, to the extreme is the only way to express these characters' viewpoints. You have, again, a woman who is going to attend her best friend's wedding as a bridesmaid, and we must be in a world post-apocalyptic or something where getting married is the be-all, end-all, most important thing of life. And if you're not married and if you don't have a successful marriage, then there's no point in anything. So they have these dark little rituals to make sure your marriage lasts. And they get progressively darker. And then the characters are obnoxious in every aspect of who they are. But then every now and then you'll get something that's said and it's so profound, and it only works for how insandy all the other stuff that's happening is. It was a delight. I loved it. It's a book with a personality, and a lot of people are going to hate it. This is either a love it or you hate it. And I loved it so very much. The only one that can be classified as a horror book would be When the Reckoning Comes. And again, book was a delight, but I picked this one up with the intention of reading it because it took place at a wedding. And sadly, the wedding aspect was like the biggest side point. It could have been any other reason that this girl was coming home. It could have been a family reunion. It could have been a funeral. It could have been a high school reunion. It literally could have been anything. I don't feel the point of it being a wedding was emphasis enough or focused on enough for me to pick it up for this reason. However, still a delight. Still love this book, regardless it wasn't what I wanted in terms of setting. This is a good classic ghost story, essentially. It is haunting. The writing is powerful. You have a woman coming back to her old ex-best friend's wedding, but they're still more or less on good terms. And it focuses a lot on race, as she is black, her best friend is white, the issues they had growing up, and then, of course, the wedding takes place on a plantation. And it goes from there, just diving into dark histories. Again, this is very much a ghost story. And while I came for the family drama, which was sort of there, but not to the extent of other books for wedding settings, like I stayed for the absolute cold terror that was put over me and the clench in my heart as I'm like, oh God, do these people deserve to live right now, or is revenge a good option? I think revenge is a good option. No, that's a bad option. Okay, we can't have revenge on generations past. But no, it was definitely a good story. A couple small complaints for this one. I do remember it being more, so my personal preference is the narrative in the present day being what's pushing the story forward, whereas this story was more pushed forward by the sins of the past and examining consequences of it generations later, which was very good. It's just not my preference for what I want in a story, but I still really enjoyed it. The characters were complex. However, most of the dynamic was between the girl and her male best friend from childhood rather than the female bride. And I really wanted more of the dynamic between her and the bride that I just did not get as much as I would like. This book, however, was not predictable. I did not see it coming, so that's a bonus for it as well. Last is the guest list, and I have so many mixed feelings about this book because technically I gave it a 2-star, but without changing anything, just rearranging the chapters or sections of chapters, it would have easily been a 5-star. So you have a bride and her bridal party in, I think it's an island in Scotland, maybe? And then we're cutting back and forth between 2 timelines. Timeline in the present day where a body is found, and the timeline in the past as they're getting ready for the wedding. Everyone has motives to kill somebody in this bridal group. The bridesmaids and the groomsmen, everyone has a perfectly valid reason for wanting someone dead for one reason or another. And what my issue is we don't know who the victim was until like the very end. And then we don't know, obviously, who the killer was either. And I would have preferred to have one or the other. Either tell me who the killer is, and I'll figure out the motive for why they had someone killed, and I got to figure out motives for multiple people, and the victim can be the surprise. Or tell me who the victim is, and obviously I can figure out the motives for who wanted them killed. But I was given neither, so there were just too many unknowns, and there were too many, therefore there was too many red herrings, too many side tangents that I didn't have a focus, and that really, really, really bugged me the entire book. But that being said, also all the characters, completely unlikable, except I adored the bride. She's a complete bitch, and selfish, narcissistic, from what I remember. It's been a little while since I read this one. But a very entertaining character. And bitch might have been too hard for her. Now that I think about it, she was just very self-obsessed and wanted everything focused on her, but she's the bride. It's fine. I did enjoy her character. Everyone else was very annoying. But the setting was nice. It still had the wedding drama. I do recommend it. It's just the organization of the book was not for me. and all they would have had to do is move like the last couple chapters to the middle and then keep the one, like the killer, a secret and just tell me who was killed, and I probably would have given this 5 stars. And those are the wedding thrillers that I've read recently. Definitely looking for more with this setting. I got a couple on my list, or TBR, for ones that take place on a honeymoon, and a couple with like domestics and marriage that I'm going to read, but not any more that take place at an actual wedding, either the lead up to the wedding or during the wedding, and that is what I'm looking for this setting. So if you have any recommendations for that, let me know. I will talk to you later. Bye. Kat, what are you doing? Hi. Where are you after? No, 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 no! In horror and thrillers, and Maven. Hey there. Maven. Leave my stuff alone.